Today I'm going to be talking about and going over my group's case law project, and we chose to do ours over due process. But first off, we're going to talk about what is due process. And due process is a requirement under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or the IDEA, that sets forth regulatory basis for a formal set of policies and procedures to be implemented by schools and districts for children in special education programs. Due process is intended to ensure that children with learning disabilities and other types of disabilities receive a free and appropriate public education. And due process, just to continue it, is a special education term used to describe the process where parents may disagree with the program recommendations of the school district. They must send a notice if they disagree in writing within 30 days, and IDEA provides two methods for resolving disputes, which are mediation or fair hearing. A due process hearing must be conducted and the decision issued within 45 days of the request for a hearing. Due process legislation. The student status is when a hearing has been requested by either party. The student shall remain in his or her current educational placement unless the parent and the system agree to an alternate placement. In the parents' rights, the IDEA gives parents additional rights in due process hearings, and these are the rights to have their child present who is the subject of the hearing, open the hearing to the public, and to have the record of the hearing and the findings of fact and decisions provided to them at no cost. So from here we move into our first court case that involves due process, and this is Whitehead versus Hillsborough. And in this court case, the parents of a child who had Down syndrome requested a special education due process hearing against the Hillsborough County Board. It was said that some of his services were withdrawn from his IEP. The school board was depriving Andrew of a speech therapist that was provided for the other students in the school district, which is a big no-no. And the court ruled in favor of the parents and gave them $300,000 each. Our next court case is Porter versus Board of Trustees of Manhattan Beach. The parents of an autistic child filed a due process hearing against the Manhattan Beach School Board, claiming they failed to provide their child with appropriate reading and language instruction and socialization interventions. And because of this, the child suffered permanent damage of academic, physical, and social emotional well-being. The school board paid a total of $6.7 million for failure to comply to the student's disabilities. Our next court case is BH versus West Clermont Board of Education. Plaintiff filed a due process case against the state of Ohio, stating that the Clermont Board of Education failed to provide BH with speech services in denying a free, appropriate public education. She also did not receive any educational benefit for her behavioral goals because they were not following her behavior plan during the 2007, 2008, and 2008-2009 school years. Ohio State ordered that BH be placed at Applied Behavior Services at district expense for 2009, 2010, and 2010-2011 school years with transportation, a fictional behavior assessment, and 2 years of remedial speech and therapy services. And just to sum it up, we have some resources listed for parents, and this particular resource is for understanding special education. And just to provide a little insight to this link and to what you'll find on this webpage, the goal of this site is to empower parents to be the best possible advocate for their child. I hope to provide you with the most parent-friendly information on special education law, learning disabilities, the IEP process, and school success. Most of all, I want you to have the information you need right at our fingertips. So just a little helpful hint for parents. And just to continue this, we have another website that's connected to due process and what due process is under the IDEA. And this website gives the definition of due process and examples of it. It's a great resource for parents that are learning what due process is and how it affects them and their child. The next one is a little more insight into questions and answers on procedural safeguards and due process procedures for parents and children with disabilities. Once parents have a basic understanding of due process, this is a great website for frequently asked questions and answers for those who need further information on due process. And another one is Steps for Success, and this is a guide for Georgia children with disabilities, their families, Babies Can't Wait early intervention services, schools, and community programs. And our last resource for parents is on Georgia Parent Support Network Incorporated. Georgia Parent Support Network is dedicated to providing support, education, and advocacy for children and their families with mental illness, emotional disturbances, and behavioral differences. So, just in case, once we get out in the school system and we're actually teachers and we may possibly have students with disabilities, these are just some great resources to provide parents with that may have questions on due process and what it is and just anything that they need to know. And our last page is just our references that we used while conducting this project. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.